We have a duty to advise our clients the dangers associated with making offers on FSBO homes, which is why FSBO homes on average sell for 30% less than homes listed with an agent. Man, they got to know this stuff. You got to know this stuff. We've started to see this, but now it's going to be very similar to 2004 again, where we're going to start to see a massive amount of for sale by owner or FSBO homes. Okay, the FSBO season is here. And we're starting to see it already. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but this is what happens when it gets really easy to sell a home. They're like, why do I even need a realtor? I could just sell it myself, right? Which is, in my opinion, the most annoying thing about this market. Because no one likes the FSBO attitude, right? I mean, the FSBO attitude's brutal. It's like, oh, I can do it myself. I've sold 3 houses myself. You know, you never knew how much you got for them and you never know if you had a good deal, but you like to round up because everybody thinks they're a great negotiator, even though almost nobody is. And they always like to tell themselves they got the highest price and save money on their commission, but they really didn't net the highest amount of proceeds because had they used an agent, they would have gotten a lot higher price. And that's the way it typically works. And that's the way it's always been proven throughout history. So now we're in a for sale by owner market. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but it's getting very public about how hot our market is. Just this week, I'm watching like morning talk shows as I get ready in the morning, you know? And like on Good Morning America, they're like talking about like the red hot real estate market every morning. Like it's the featured story every morning, which means everyone's getting to hear it, which means everybody's going to start saying we should sell, which means the market's going to heat up even more. And also a lot of these sellers are going to start getting arrogant. Well, hey, I can save some commission if I list it myself. So we're going to have to start battling FSBO objections, and we can start prospecting for FSBOs too. But starting with the FSBO objections, I'll tell you this is what kind of shocked me. So, you know, like on Good Morning America, I think it's Good Morning America. It's one of those shows where Michael Strahan, the ex-football player, the New York Giants linebackers on there with Kelly Ripa or whatever. So he's up there and they're talking and he's like, hey, yeah, so here's some tips for actually they were interviewing one of our coaching clients and she was talking about things you can do to maximize your home sale in this market, which is a bunch of stuff you probably already know. And then afterwards they're like, they get done interviewing her and then they go to, and then Kelly and Michael are talking and they're like, and whatever you do not FSBO your house for sale. Do not try to sell your home yourself. Always get a realtor. I was blown away. I'm like, that is so good. Like that was really nice. And they said that, and they just said, yeah, it's too risky in this market, blah, blah, blah. So I thought that was wonderful. However, I don't think that's going to work. I still think we're going to see a lot of for sale by owners, which means a lot of people that are in your sphere of influence that you market to, or that are in your farm or in whatever database you work with, you're going to find out that they want a FSBO, or they're at least deciding between you and FSBOing. So you better know what to say when that happens, because if it hasn't happened to you already, it's about to come in mass, because this is what happens at the top of every real estate cycle. And we are in the top, like I said, next 2 to 3 years of this. So my question is, what do you guys say when someone wants to FSBO? How do you get around it? Let me hear some of your best scripts, talking points. If you talk to somebody, what can you say about for sale by owners? What can you say to them about why they should list with you?
I can mention what happened to me in a little Northridge ranch house. It's always the friends that want to screw you over.
Yes.
So
that's a good outlook. Yeah.
That's a whole other discussion, how you define a friend.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, family will do it too. Trust me.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened?
So he found out that I was actually telling the truth and called me back after he tried to do it himself. I said, look, I can get the exposure and the amount of people the quantity of people making offers 4 or 5 times more than maybe you'll get somebody who comes in and they'll want to lowball you because you don't pay commission. So that's number 1. You'll get a lot of lowball. Number 2, I can get a lot more simultaneous offers, and I will use them to keep building the price up for you, Mr. Customer. Mm-hmm. And it's going to more than cover the cost of the commission, the benefit to you.
That's correct. I love it. Anybody else got something they say that they like to tell to their clients? I'd love to hear a couple of these. I got a couple, but I'm curious anybody else.
Brian, I'm a storyteller. So we had an experience one time, and so what I tell sellers when they want to list themselves, I said, hey, great. You know why that worries me? I know you want to go through a title company, and people think you just go through a title company and it's great. But I had a listing before that my seller bought, they bought the house for sale by owner, and they went through a title company, a local title company, credible. And when I went to sell their house, we got it in contract, and title company called me, and guess what happened? The old owners were still on title. And what ended up happening was I asked them to, release title, and they said, yeah, absolutely, for 20 grand. And then 2 years later, and $80,000 plus in legal fees, they got the old owners off of title. And Mr. and Mr. Seller, that's what worries me if you try to do that and just go through a title company. So,
I love
one
that.
thing.
I love it.
Yeah, that's one story I use. Yeah.
Well, and now we can all use Thomas's story.
Now you all use that story. My business partner.
Right, because you can say we're in a trainer. We were in a training and we talked about it. I mean, the trainer's like warning us. We've got to warn our clients about the dangers of going FSBO. And here's an example of where title never really transferred, and they had to come back and pay 20 grand extra to get out of it. So we've got trainers, national trainers coming in, trying to warn the public, this is your house, play it safe, do the right thing. So anytime you hear a story like that, now it becomes a we, not an I experience, right? We experienced this situation. Okay, so if you got more stories, throw them out there because we can use them. I like that one, Thomas. Joni, and then Hal.
Just another story. The other KW office I came from, I heard the first time where the scammers contacted the buyer through email and said, oh, congratulations, we're so excited for you. It made it look like it was coming from escrow and the buyer's agent. You have to wire your funds immediately to whatever to get the house. They're accepting your offer. And she did. So most of the time it happens on the back end because the loan amount or the closing amount is much higher than the earnest money deposit. And they were able to get the money back. But there are just so many scammers out there that, and security, especially if the people live in the home, security and their safety is utmost because there's so many bad people today, is one of the things that, I reiterate.
That's right.
When I'm on a listing. And
Michael Strahan said the same thing. He said it's just not safe. There's a lot of unsafe stuff. And Michael Strahan, I listened to him. That guy had 23 sacks in 1 year for the New York Giants. Just to let you know. Kind of a big deal. So anyway, Hal, thank you, Joni. That was awesome. I like that. What's your story?
I thank you, Thomas, for sharing the story. I'm going to use that from now on too. I never that. What I usually tell them, Brian, is I share with them the stats. I tell them 98% of for sale by owners sell for 30% less net than you do if you were to hire a realtor. So you see, my 6% commission is really not relevant to what you're paying because I'm getting you 24% more than you can get on your own on average. So you see the 6% it really is not your problem here. The problem is you trying to do it yourself and having an uninsured transaction that's going to net you less money. You wouldn't want that, would you? And they'll say, yeah, of course, whatever.
You got to admit, that's good. Hey, say that again slowly. 98%. Say it one more time.
98% of for sale by owners leave 30% on the table. That's the number that I use. And it's true.
Yep. It is
so
true.
then I go on to say, so you see the 6% that you're going to be paying me and my brokers to handle everything. It really is not a fee at all to you.
There you go. There you go. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think that's great. Let me jump onto the end of that too by saying 90% of all home buyers use an agent. 90% of all home buyers use an agent. And the only reason it's not 100% is because some people buy with builders directly and things like that. They buy directly from a developer, or a builder, or a housing subdivision or something like that. It's only a very small percentage that for sale by owner, okay? So understand that when you list with an agent, there's a 90% chance at least that the buyer is going to come, or the buyer with the highest price is going to come from another agent. So we as agents actually market to other agents much more than we market to the general public. So if you're going to list it yourself and not market it to other agents, you're only marketing to 1 or 2% of the population. Because if I'm an agent, like all the other agents out there that have well more than 90% of all the buyers, when I look for a house for them, I'm going to look in the multiple listing service, and you better be there, because if not, I'm not going to find it. So you're going to get less offers and a lower price, right? So that's number one if we're talking about someone who's going to do a pure FSBO and not list it in the MLS, okay? Because that's crazy, because we do not market to the public. We market to other agents. The likelihood that you're going to bring the buyer is very, very small. That's why we cooperate. We co-op with other agents. That's why we have a freaking MLS. Make sense? And they don't get that. In fact, I found most agents don't get that. Like a lot of you are like, oh yeah, like that's right. That's how this works. Okay. So understand, they got to know that though, because they don't. So if they're going to FSBO it, they're just reducing. All these buyers are running around with agents. They're going to have no idea your house is even for sale. Now understand, if you're marketing with like a pseudo FSBO, I call them, where they're actually using, what are some other companies out there? I think Purple Bricks went away. Those companies, there are a lot of local ones too, they'll put your house into the MLS for a reduced fee, but they don't represent you. So it's still a FSBO, but they charge you a flat fee to have your house listed in MLS. That's another problem because, Rex, there's one. Thank you, Joni. When that happens, understand we as agents, we're looking at a very, very tight market where people have a house to buy, then they got to sell their house to be able to move into the new house. And when we're working with a FSBO, the likelihood that FSBO is going to successfully close, especially close on time, is very, very small. The fallout rate's very, very high. So when we're looking and being very particular, especially in this market, for which houses we're going to make offers on, any smart agent has to advise, they have a fiduciary duty to advise their client that putting an offer on a FSBO represents a huge risk, especially as if you got someone buying your house and you're hoping to move out of yours into the FSBO because it needs to close on time, and you pay money for your movers and you're going to move, and then these people are going to move into your house, and then the FSBO falls out because they're unrepresented. So here we are in our national groups, and we've got a national trainer in here telling us that we have a duty to advise our clients the dangers associated with making offers on FSBO homes. So you're going to have this terrible scarlet letter, big old F, on your forehead if you list as a FSBO, which is why FSBO homes on average sell for 30% less than homes listed with an agent. Man, they got to know this stuff. You got to know this stuff. That's why so few people do it. Make sense? I love that stuff. Thank you guys. Thank you, Hal. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Joni. Thank you, David. I think I got everybody. Oh, those are good stuff. I love it.